So today, brothers and sisters, we will cover uh, VAT related to the transactions subject to 12% VAT. Okay. Ano ba yung tinatawag ng vatable transactions? Let me just clarify, no? When we say vatable transactions, basically, there are two types. Pag sinabing vatable sales, either it is subject to 12% or it is subject to zero rate. Yang dalawa na yan, vatable ang tawag dyan. In practice, when you say vatable, a lot of people would only think about the 12%. Pero by nature, and of course by substance, when we say vatable, do not confuse yourself. Dalawa ito, either 12% or zero rate. Yan, parehas vatable transactions. So what's the difference? This one is subject to 12% rate and this one is subject to zero rate. And of course, we have VAT exempt sales. So for this particular topic, we will be discussing what are subject to 12% VAT. Okay, so ito yung mga ordinary or regular or domestic sales. Ito yung mga tinatawag nating deemed or constructive sales. Ibig sabihin, they are not really sales by nature, but it seems they are in the nature of the sales. Kaya nga, winabat yan. And then we have sales to government. So when we say sales to government, this is from the perspective of the seller. So ang buyer dito, gobyerno, kaya nga sales to government. And also, if there is a payment to a non-resident specifically, no, for services rendered, ito ay pwedeng mas-subject sa 12% VAT. Pero pagdating dito, ang pagkakaiba, final VAT ito. Okay, so yung iba, regular VAT yan. Now, digital services of resident and non-resident providers, basically, this one is subject to 12% already by virtue of the VAT on Digital Services Law. Okay, kasama na sa discussions natin yan because we want to be updated. And this one is also by virtue of mandatory provisions under Create More Law. Yung mga registered business enterprises, when they make local sales of goods and services, it is subject to 12% VAT. Dati kasi hindi maliwanag, but because of Create More, it clarified on how do we treat the sales subject to 12% local sales ito ng mga RBEs. O, tandaan nyo ha, pag RBE, ang mga RBEs natin under Create Law, tatlo, Registered Export Enterprise, Domestic Market Enterprise, dalawa lang yan under Create law, pero nung Create More dinagdag yung High Value Domestic Market Enterprise. Itong mga to, domestic market enterprise. Anong ibig sabihin? What they do basically is they produce, manufacture, or make an assembly of goods in the Philippines, pagkatapos binebenta rin niya sa domestic market. Ito namang registered export enterprise, sila yung mga binabanggit dito. Okay? Sila yung mga RBEs na subject sa 12% VAT on local sales. Kasi ito, yung local sales nila, 'di ba, pinoproduce, minamanufacture, assembly dito sa Pilipinas. Okay, yung mga goods and properties, no? Pagkatapos, binebenta rin niya sa domestic market. Kaya 12% na kagad yan, Mati. Bakit? Para silang domestic entity lang din. Dito sa Pilipinas ginawa, dito rin sa domestic market ibebenta sa Pilipinas. Kaya 12% na yan. Paano yung mga registered export enterprise? Tatlo ito. Ito yung manufacturing, okay, ito yung BPO, at saka ito yung mga IT facility. Remember, these two are creations of Create Law. Okay, dati manufacturing lang yan eh. Ngayon dinagdag BPO at saka IT. What if these three are registered export enterprises? Which means, yung manufacturing dito nagma-manufacture tapos ine-export lang ang mga pinoproduce nila. Yung BPO at saka IT, ang kanilang mga customers practically are non-residents. So kaya nga sila tinawag na registered export enterprises. Ngayon, what if these registered export enterprises would have local sales? Ano ang magiging treatment? Aba, niliwanag na yan sa Create More. Ang sabi, subject to 12% VAT. Pero, anong klaseng VAT? Merong regular at saka merong final. Depende ito on who is the customer. Okay? In the same manner, kapag dito, vatable na yan kasi domestic din yan, mga domestic corporation yan. Ito naman, okay, non-resident. Nagbabago ang treatment. Okay, so yan ang topic natin for today. All of these transactions which are subject to 12% rate. And of course, kasunod na to, yung zero at saka VAT exempt sales. Now, let's start. What are regular sales, no, which are subject to 12% VAT? Very simple lang to. Yung mga nakikita nyo to, no, if there are stores, restaurants, seller of goods, seller of services, okay, and the sale is made domestically, ito yung mga nasa tindahan lang dito sa Pilipinas, they made sale or a transfer or barter or exchange of goods or services. Okay, yan ay subject sa 12% VAT. Tandaan mo itong transfer, barter or exchange na to, pwede kasing goods ang ibinayad din or property. So kapag goods or property ang binayad, ibig sabihin barter yan or exchange. Okay? Kaya kung ikaw yung kung you are the seller of goods, you sell like a cellphone to me, ang pinambayad ko laptop, barter, yan, subject pa rin sa 12%. But yan, in relation to the discussion on the definition of gross sales. Okay? So, to simplify, ano ba yung mga subject sa 12%? Very simple lang. Yung mga hindi zero rate, yung mga hindi VAT exempt, vatable 12%. Ganun lang kasimple yan. Kaya nga ito yung general rule. Ito yung catch-all provision. If the transaction is not subject to zero rate, which are more or less export sales and VAT exempt sales, no, hindi yan ganon. Subject yan sa 12%. But ganun kasimple. Okay, a lot of people are asking me, sir, itong transaction ba to subject sa 12%? But ang tanong ko agad sa kanila, zero rated ba yan? Ang sabi nila, hindi. VAT exempt ba yan? Hindi po. Hindi, ano yan, 12%. Ganun lang kasimple yan. Okay, now, this is the 12% domestic or regular sales. Now, let's go to the transactions deemed sale or constructive sales. Dito, there is no actual sale, meaning there is no consideration received. Okay, but just the same, these are by law considered as sale. Kaya nga deemed or constructive, parang sale to. And these are subject to 12% VAT. Ano itong mga to? Okay, isa-isahin natin. Under number 1, there are 3 possible transactions here. There is a transfer, there is use or consumption. Ibig sabihin, talagang personal yan. Not in the course of trade or business of goods or properties. Ibig sabihin, hindi binenta yung mga inventories natin na intended for sale or for use in the course of trade or business. Sir, bakit hindi binenta? Kasi nga napakasimple, pinamigay o kaya ginamit o kaya kinain or not literally consumed in a sense that if it's a property, ginamit niya. So ngayon, yung kanyang pinamigay, yung kanyang ginamit, yung kanyang kinonsume, the taxpayer, yan ay parang sale. Kaya nga constructive sale din ang tawag. So, example of this one, transfer muna tayo, transfer and then use and then consumption. Okay, just for you to be able to understand this. At what is a specific example of a transfer of goods originally intended for sale? So meron tayong paninda, this is part of the inventory, tapos it was transferred, okay? Not in the course of trade or business. Again, the meaning of not in the course of trade or business, it's not really sold, no? There's no consideration received. So example tayo, during the year, ang Pilipinas binagyo. Okay, a lot of Filipinos were affected. And then there's this Good Samaritan, ABC Corp. They are engaged in selling beds. So what they did is they donated their inventories amounting to 1 million pesos. Now, the question is the transaction subject to what? Yes. Bakit? Deemed sale transaction to para mo na ring binenta yung goods mo. Sir, hindi po ba unfair on the part of the seller? Kasi nag-donate na nga siya eh. It may seem that that is the case. Pero our tax code, specifically on the VAT rule, no, related to deemed sale, kahit na binigay mo yan, kahit dinonate mo yan, inventory mo to supposedly when you sell this, these are subject to 12% VAT. Since pinamigay mo, edi walang VAT na nakolekta yung gobyerno, kaya sabi ng gobyerno parang sale yan. And this is also a deterrent, no, na sa pandaraya. Kasi baka mamaya, remember, the parties may connive. Sasabihin ni seller, "Uy, kunwari, dinonate ko na lang sa'yo." O hindi ngayon, mawawala talaga yung VAT kung walang deem sale. Kaya ang mga deem sale transactions are subject to VAT. Now, let me give you a brief history, no, about what happened during the pandemic. Meron tayong bayanihan law during that time. So, yung ginawang bayanihan law ng ating Kongreso, any donation made by a person, no, engaged in trade or business, kapag sila ay nagbigay ng mga produkto nila, goods or services, yung mga dinonate nila are not deemed sales. Therefore, they are not subject to 12% VAT. Yun, specific yun sa batas. Kaya, yung mga pinamigay during the COVID era ng mga establishments were not subjected to VAT because the law provided for it not to be subjected to 12% VAT. Ang sabi ng batas, hindi yan deemed sale. Kaya, hindi naging deemed sale. Okay, pero dito, other than that specific law, kapag walang explicit provision exempting this from VAT, yung mga deemed sale, VATable yan. Okay, let's go to scenario number 2. Use naman tayo. Use of goods originally intended for sale. Okay, not in the course of trade or business. Bakit nga? Kasi personal use ito. So, tignan natin ang kwento, no? Si Inday ay engaged in online selling of ready-to-wear clothing. During live selling, sabi niya, bagay sa akin tong isa na 'to. Siya na yung nag-mine so tapos ginamit niya yung damit na 'yan, yung kanyang paninda pang-araw-araw. Is the transaction subject to VAT? The answer is yes. This is another example of a deemed sale transaction. Para mo na ring binenta. Kanino? Sa sarili mo. Kaya kung nawala ang produkto sa iyo, not in the course of trade or business, meaning not sale. So the law again considers this as a deemed sale transaction, which is subject to 12% VAT. Eh sir, sino magbabayad po niyan? Eh di ikaw na seller, di ba? Ganun yun. You are the person statutory liable to pay the VAT. Ikaw yung gumamit eh. O di magbayad ka 12%. Hmm. Ito naman, consumption of goods original intended for sale. May paninda ka. What did you do? You consumed it, not in the course of trade or business. Why? It's because it's personal. So example of this is here, no? Nicanor is engaged in bakery operations. So he makes bread. Tapos items nearing expiration are eaten by him and his employees, pinamigay niya, pinamerienda niya. Ang tanong, is the transaction subject to 12% VAT? The answer is yes. Sir, panadali lang to. Bakit mababati yan? Aba, tandaan mo, when we're talking about VAT, the presumption is, as a rule, apply natin yung general rule, ang registration is VAT. Okay, so is the transaction subject to 12% VAT? Yes. Bakit? Deemed sale, yung mga consumption of goods yung mga inventories natin. Okay, another example of a distribution or transfer to shareholders or investors share in the profits of a VAT registered person and creditors in payment of debt. This is another types of deemed sale or constructive sale. So let's look at the scenario, distribution or transfer of goods to shareholders. Ito yan, yan. Okay, ABC Corp, siya ay nagmamanufacture ng motor vehicles. In one of the board meetings, yung board of directors declared property dividends and the board resolved to give motor vehicles to stockholders of record. Kung ganon, ang transaction ba subject to 12% VAT? Yes. Deemed sale ang mga yan. Para mo na ring binenta ang mga motor vehicles na yan sa mga shareholders. Sir, who is the person liable to pay the VAT? Of course, you as the seller. Okay. Sir, pwede bang i-shift ang burden ng pagbabayad ng VAT sa mga shareholders? Ano ang rule natin? Ang VAT is an indirect tax, which means the seller or transferor in this case can actually shift the burden of the payment of the VAT to the transferee. So the answer is yes. Okay, another scenario, no? Distribution or transferring payment of debt. Yan yung number 2. This one. Ayun. O, ano meron dito? Si Nicanor ay may tindahan. Nangutang siya kay Inday. Ang usapan, he is to pay 500 pesos per day until the amount is fully paid, including the interest. At one point, si Nicanor was not able to pay because he has no money. Instead, he offered to give her breads. Bigyan na lang kita ng mga tinapay, ito na lang pambayad ko sa iyo. So, Inday accepted. Now, is the transfer of the bread for payment of a debt considered as deemed sale? The answer is yes, para mo na ring binenta. Constructive sale yan. Sir, papaano wala naman pong consideration? Eh, nabawasan yung utang mo eh. Constructive receipt of payment. Yan. So, therefore, subject to 12% VAT. Di ba? Napakasimple lang nito. Easy lang to. You just have to imagine. Now, this is one of the provisions in VAT I don't really like. Bakit? To me, this one is a bit unfair on the part of the sellers of goods, lalong-lalo na kung hindi naman fast-moving yung kanilang binebenta. And this is what we call consignment sale. Okay, so anong meron dito? Consignment of goods if actual sale is not made within 60 days. So, kinonsign ang goods ni consigner kay consignee, binigay yung goods, hindi nabenta within the 60 days period following the delivery or consignment. Ang sabi ng batas, team sale na yan. Para hindi maging team sale yan, kailangan the goods has to be returned by the consignee to the consignor within the 60-day period. Otherwise, again, the goods unsold, okay, after the lapse of the 60-day period will be subjected to 12% VAT. Parang nabenta na raw yan, sabi ng batas natin. You see, parang medyo unfair on the part of the consignor. Eh, hindi naman nabenta pero kailangan bayaran na yung VAT kasi sabi ng batas parang sale na rin yan. Kasi paano kung di nabenta, binayaran yung VAT at nabenta yan, babayaran pa ba yung VAT on the sale? The answer is no. Bakit? Bayad na yung VAT eh. Okay, now let's look at a particular transaction related to this one. Okay, and you can just imagine. ABC Corp consigns goods to XYZ, a supermarket. 'Di ba? Parang yung mga paninda sa supermarket, gano'n 'yan. Hindi naman binibili yan ng supermarket, eh, tapos sila nagbebenta. Hindi gano'n ang arrangement niyan, 'no? Nagbibigay, kino-consign lang sa mga supermarket. Another example, yung sa mga hardware. Bihirang-bihira yung mga hardware supplies na binibili na yung produkto tapos ibebenta. Ang normal transactions there is the the manufacturer would consign the goods to the hardware supplier. Tapos pag nabenta, doon na lang i-remit yung sale. Tapos meron silang share. So, ganun ang concept nito. So, going back, ABC Corp consigns its goods to XYZ, no? Who is the consignee. Under the terms of agreement, si XYZ, kapag nakabenta, i-remit niya yung sales, i-report niya every 10th day following the month of the sale of the goods. Kasi nga, alangan namang araw-araw magre-report ng sales yan. The following are the details of the consignment. The value of consigned goods is 1 million. Okay? Now, it was delivered on March 2, 2026. So, you have to count no, between the date of delivery, okay, up to 60 days. Bakit? Kasi, kapag hindi nabenta yan within the 60-day period, ABC Corp has to pull out the goods. Ang sabi kasi return eh. Ito naman walang pakialam to normally. Pakialam po dyan. Bakit? Alam ka namang ibalik ko sa'yo, gagastos ako. That's in reality. Okay, so itong mga to, consignee, a lot of them really do not care. Okay, basta kung mabenta yan, o edi i-remit yung sale, kukuha lang sila ng ano nila. I-remit yung sale, tapos kukuha lang sila ng share nila doon sa income. Yung tubo rin nila, kukunin nila. Pero kung di mabenta yan, okay lang. Andiyan lang naman yung produkto eh. Would they pay the VAT? Of course not. Ito ang exposed sa VAT, yung consignor. Kaya ikaw na consignor, wag mo nang antayin ibalik. Kasi ang sabi sa rule natin, na goods returned by the consignee. Hindi ito nangyayari. Hindi yan binabalik na consignee. Kung binalik na yung consignee, very good si consignee. Pero they will not spend money just to return the goods. Okay, in some cases, sasabihin nila, "Uy, kunin mo na 'tong goods mo para hindi naman team sale yan." Pero A lot of the cases, ikaw dapat ang nagta-track nito kung lumampas na ng 6-day period. Kung hindi pa, i-pull out mo yan tapos i-deliver mo na lang ulit. You see? That is the reason why I don't like this provision. Okay? So, ayan. So, kung bibilangan mo yung araw na yan hanggang April 1 ang 60-day period natin. Kasi in March, we have 31 days. In March 2 yan eh. Okay? So, ngayon, tanong. If no sale is made, May 1 pala, no? Sorry. 60-day, no? If no sale is made until April 30, is the consignment subject to 12% VAT? Aba, ang sagot. Kapag April 30, nasa 60-day period pa lang tayo. Okay, kasi dito 30 days na tayo diyan, yung March, kasi may 31 yan. Tapos meron pa tayong April na merong 30 days. So, total 60 days pa lang yan. If no sales made until April 30, is the consignment subject to what? Aba, hindi. Bakit? Within the 60-day period. Kaya si XYZ, okay, pwede niyang i-notify si ABC, oy, kunin mo na yung produkto mo. Last day na ngayon, hindi ko nabenta yan. Or alternatively, si ABC na mismo, oy, kukunin ko na yung produkto kasi hindi mo pa pala nabenta yan. Okay? So, ayan, hindi pa siya deemed sale kasi nga within the 60-day period. So, it has to be returned to the consignor. Okay. Now, another question. If no sales made until May 1 and the products were not returned, is the consignment subject to what? Hindi nabenta ng May 1, 61st day na yan. Hindi binalik. Is the consignment subject to what? Yes, the products are deemed sold. Which means the seller is the person liable to pay the VAT. Sir, sino po yung seller dito? Ito yung seller. Pero ito yung merong obligation sa deemed sale. Bakit? Sabi ko nga sa'yo, ikaw na consignee, pinabebenta lang sa'yo yan. Alam nga naman bayaran mo yung 12% VAT. O, dito tayo. If no sales made until May 1 and the products were returned on the same day, useless. Bakit? Is the consignment subject to VAT? Oh, yes. Bakit? 61st day na. Dapat nung April 30 pa lang, doon pinull out ang produkto. Tapos the following day, dineliver ulit. Okay? Yes, because it's on the 61st day, kaya deemed sale na yan. Bayaran na yung VAT. O ngayon, assuming the consignor paid the corresponding VAT from the consigned goods because of the constructive sale. Is the subsequent sale by XYZ subject to VAT? Diba? Nung hindi nabenta ni XYZ yan, binayaran ni ABC yung 12% VAT. Nabenta na ngayon. O, na ngayon, is the subsequent sale by XYZ subject to VAT? It depends. Okay? It depends on what? Actually, kapag nagbenta ito, naniningil na siya ng 12% VAT. Okay, so if the output tax on deemed sale is equal to the retail price of XYZ, no deficiency VAT is collectible. If less, ABC is liable to pay the difference. Anong ibig sabihin nito? Ito yung value ng consigned goods. So, practically, magdadagdag pa yan dito. Meron siyang patong retail price na. So, nung binenta ni XYZ yung produkto, halimbawa 1.2 million niya nabenta, maniningil siya ng VAT dun sa customer. Kasi nga, isiniship niya yung burden of the buyer, payment of the VAT to the buyer. Ang binayaran nito, okay, 1 million, kulang. So, ngayon, magbabayad ng 12% VAT on the deficiency. So, parang ganun ang concept nito. Okay? Now, eto naman, what happened? The business is closed. Retirement. Okay, nag-cease na ng operation. Ngayon, nung magsara siya, there are still goods on hand, unsold. Okay? Ito yung mga hindi nabenta. So, are the goods now subject to 12% VAT? The answer is yes. Yung mga produktong hindi binenta or naibenta after closure shall be considered as deemed sale. But the basis is lower of acquisition cost. Nung binili mo yung produkto na yan na hindi nabenta, magkano? Or fair market value. Okay, example nito. Purchase. So, itong purchase, no? Cost ang tawag natin dyan. Bumili siya ng 1 million. Hindi niya nabenta yung 1 million na yan. So, bumili siya niyan. So, ibig sabihin, meron siyang binayaran na input tax of 120,000. Purchase to, so input tax yan. Okay, ngayon, hindi nabenta yan, nagsara. So ngayon, ang basis would be ang gross sales mo dito based sa cost yan. So 1,000,000 ito ide-deem sale natin. So kung deem sale yan, ibig sabihin merong output tax yan na 12%, therefore 120,000 yan. Bakit natin dine-deem sale? Eto ang dahilan. Nung binili kasi, merong input tax yan. That's the presumption because the general rule is VAT registration. Hindi na ibenta 'to, ide-deem sale natin, magkakaroon ng output VAT. So 12% output tax less 12% input tax, walang babayaran. VAT payable, 0. Okay, ganyan ang concept ng deemed sale. Sir, bakit pa binabat? Kasi kung tignan mo ito, kung wala tayong output tax, pero meron tayong input tax, 120,000, kung walang deemed sale ha, ibig sabihin magkakaroon pa ng overpayment. Hala, meron pang refundable si taxpayer kay BIR, hindi papayag si BIR. Bakit? Itong produkto na 'to na hindi nabenta, anong puwedeng gawin? Puwede bang i-transfer 'yan? Yes. Puwede bang gamitin 'yan? Use. Yes. Puwede bang i-consume 'yan? Yes. O 'di ba, deem sale ang mga 'yun, kaya tini-deem sale 'yan. Bakit? Again, because the goods basically can be transferred, used, or consumed or otherwise donated, which are all in all deemed sale transactions. And ayun din ang concept niyan para ma-close ang input tax at hindi mag-refund ang taxpayer. Biruin mo, ang gobyerno pa yung may utang. O pag nagsara, pwede naman ibenta yung mga produkto pa. O kaya deemed sale yan. Okay? Now, when is retirement from or cessation of business applicable, no? Yung constructive sale na 'to. Aba, change in business ownership. Dating single prop, naging partnership or corporation. Oh, 'di ba? So, panibagong owner 'yan. So, kung naging panibagong owner 'yan, binenta yung mga goods. Nagsara na 'to, close na siya. So, yung goods niya doon, deemed sale. Okay? So ito naman magkakaroon ng input tax. Sir, bakit? Ano, siya yung buyer, 'di ba? Separate entity concept 'yan. So, change in business ownership, gano'n din, dissolution of partnership, and formation of, another to take over the business. Okay, so practically tatlo 'to. There is a change in business ownership, iba na yung may-ari. So, practically cease na yung operation ng company. Tapos na-dissolve na yung partnership or yung corporation, retirement, no, ng business. So, yan ang mga deemed sale transactions. Now, let's go to this one, no. Last year, Nicanor established his dream business. He registers VAT. So, dahil sa pangangailangan ng pera, he closed his business. As an accountant, he engaged you to take care of the closure. His books of accounts and records disclose the balances. Ganito ang nangyayari sa tunay na buhay. Kapag nagsara ang isang negosyo tapos ikaw ay yung accountant, kunin mo kaagad ang financial statements. Okay? Eto, bakit? Titignan mo yung mga ah, goods na pwedeng ma-subject sa deemed sale. So ito, meron siyang unsold goods, deemed sale yan kung sakasakali. Upon closure. Sir, yung mga ano, yung mga PPE, yung aircon, yung mga machinery and equipment, yung mga delivery equipment, etc. Deemed sale din ba yan? Yes. Bakit? Yan yung mga, even if they're not inventories, but these are assets that can be disposed of, sold. Gusto kong binenta wala kaming pakialam kung benta mo yan, sabi, para sinasabi ng gobyerno. Para sa amin, deemed sale na yung mga yan. Kasi pwede mong ibenta after. So therefore, ito yung mga properties that can be the subject of deemed sale. Okay, yung ito, wala naman yan. So, titignan mo lang yung asset kaagad. So, ngayon, pag tinanong tayo, how much is the output tax? Very simple. Okay, the 2.2 million properties, inventories, and PPEs are subject to 12% VAT. Output tax yan, deemed sale yan. Okay, so, that's the concept of VAT. Pero kung meron namang input tax to, merong input tax, pwede namang ibawas dyan yung input tax. Okay, so kung merong input tax 264, wala namang babayaran para ma-close lang yung input ko saka-sakali para hindi na mag-refund. Okay, yan ang kwento natin kanina. Now, brothers and sisters, this one is a particular provision which I want to emphasize. The, under the tax code and the VAT regulations, okay, the commissioner shall determine the appropriate tax base in cases where a transaction is deemed a sale, barter exchange of goods or properties, or where, eto yan, the selling price is unreasonably lower than the actual market value. Diba? Ganito yan. Kapag nagsasara na, yung mga produktong binebenta para lang maubos, binebenta ng sobrang mura. Okay? Or, merong sale eh. 10-10 ngayon, 3-3, 4-4, 5-5, 6-6. Eh di, ang taas ng mga discounts dyan. Kaya binigyan ng kapangyarihan si Commissioner to determine the appropriate tax base kapag sobrang baba ng selling price, not necessarily closure ha. Kasi common ang pagbebenta ng mababa kapag everything must go. Dahil magsasara ka na eh. Pero yung iba, going concern pa rin sila. Pero meron lang silang bargain sale, anniversary sale. So kapag binenta ng sobrang baba yan, aba si commissioner daw pwedeng tignan kung ang transaction ay deemed sale or sobrang baba ng presyo than the actual market value. Okay. Kailan malalaman or masasabi natin na ang gross sales ay sobrang baba? Okay, unreasonably lower than daw yan if than the actual market value if it is lower by more than 30% of the actual market value of the same goods of the same quantity and quality sold in the immediate locality on or nearest the date of sale. Okay, so meron kasi ako nakikitang ibang materials, no? Halimbawa, yung ABC Corporation daw, ABC Corporation, ang fair market value nito ay halimbawa 10,000. Ngayon binenta lang daw ng 2,000. Ito yung actual selling price. Ngayon ang ginawa nung materials na 'to, ang sabi niya unreasonably lower kasi more than 30% ang sobrang baba. Binenta lang niya ng 20%, eh. Okay, so sobrang baba daw. Kaya nga ang ginawa, unreasonably lower. So ito ang naging basis ng 12% VAT nila. Okay, ngayon, i-relate natin 'to sa tunay na buhay. Merong mga stores na nagbebenta ng buy one take one. So effectively 50% ang sale na 'yon. Tama? Totoo, totoo. And I'm sure you have bought goods from these big companies, no? Ito yung kanilang mga outlet store. O buy one take one, BOGO, buy one get one. So I hope you're familiar with that. So if the selling price is 10,000, tapos buy one take one. So effectively, para 5,000 lang talaga yan. O tanong, unreasonably lower ba yan? Oo, 50% eh. Ngayon, alin ang subject sa VAT? Oh, yung dalawang sapatos ba na nagkakahalaga ng tig sa 10,000 isa? Or yung isa lang? 'Di ba? So, whatever you paid is the gross sales of the seller. Yung 50%, yung kanilang nagiging basis ng sale, hindi yung fair market value. Bakit? Kasi this provision has been impliedly revoked by ease of paying tax law. Bakit? Kaya ko in-explain ng ganito para makita mo ang nangyayari in practice. Okay? Balikan natin 'to. ABC Corp, ang fair market value talaga, selling price is 10,000, pero binenta ng 2,000. So, ang tanong, yung 8,000 implied donation ba yan? Bakit yan implied donation? Kasi nga, sobrang baba ng selling price. Dati, before train law, ito ay potentially may be subjected by the BIR to donor's tax. Okay, bakit? Kasi nga sobrang baba ng selling price mo. So, deemed donation yung difference between fair market value and selling price. Eh ngayon sa train law, itinama yung mali. Kasi bakit? If I am the seller, I'd like to sell my goods at 2,000 only kasi luma na yan. Kasi last product na yan. Why can't I sell it for the price that I want to sell it? Na iset. Bakit mo ko i-do-donation? Eh hindi naman talaga donation yan. Gusto ko lang ibenta na 2,000 yan kasi nga gusto para lang mabenta na yan para matagal na sa inventaryo. So ngayon under train law, anong meron? Okay, basta ang sale ay bona fide sale. Naalala mo 'to sa donor's tax. Basta yan ay arm's length transaction. Basta yan ay no donative intent. Ang mnemonic natin, BAN. Bona fide sale, arm's length, no donative intent. Kung yan ay banned, ito ay hindi implied donation, yung 8,000. So therefore, if there's no implied donation, the basis of the VAT would be the actual selling price and not the fair market value as being used by a lot of review centers. I'm not, this is not a dig against them. I'm just trying to explain to you the concept of the provisions under train law, which, well, more or less impliedly, uh, mm, impliedly amended the provision of the tax code. Okay, kasi sa tunay na buhay, ang basis naman talaga ng 12% VAT is at the gross sales. Yung buy one, take one, kung magkano yung binayaran mo, yun ang ang basis ng 12% VAT, not the fair market value. Okay? So I hope I'm clear on that. If one of the parties in the transaction is the government, ito yung exception. Okay, pag ang gobyerno ang bumili, kahit sobrang baba ng selling price na yan, the basis of the 12% VAT would be the gross sales. Actually, ito naman talaga na yung ginagawa ngayon, again, as a result of train law. Okay? Now, this is another example of a transaction subject to 12% VAT. Ang tawag dito, sale to government. Kapag nakita mo ang sale to government, ikaw yung seller dito. Okay, kaya nga sale to government. Sila yung buyer. Okay, ito private ka. Ikaw yung seller. Okay, kapag nakita mo ang term government money payment, ang point of view mo dito, you are the buyer. Bakit? Kasi you are the government, and you are the one buying, you are the one paying the private. Kaya nga government money payment ang ang gobyerno ang nagbayad. Siya yung buyer pag nakita mo yung government money payments. Okay, so what is there about government money payments? Meaning, kapag government money payment, ikaw yung gobyerno rito ang perspective mo. So, dalawang perspective to ha. Kapag sales to government, seller dito. Kapag government money payment, buyer dyan. Okay, ngayon, tingnan natin. Government money payment ang pinag-uusapan dito. So, government ang perspective natin. The government, meaning executive, legislative, at saka judiciary. Okay? Or any of its political subdivisions. Pag sinabing political subdivisions, it can be the province, city, municipality, or the barangay. Instrumentalities or agencies. Example niyan, Bureau of Internal Revenue, including GOCCs. Okay? Shall, mandatory. Bago daw magbayad doon sa mga biniling goods or properties na merong 12%, kailangang magkaltas at mag-withhold ng creditable VAT at the rate of 5% of the gross payment. Kung magkano yung gross, magkakaltas tayo ng 5% kung tayo yung gobyerno bago tayo magbayad. But we're talking about VAT only. Yung VAT na yan is creditable VAT. Ibig sabihin tax credit siya noong seller na private entity. Yung 5% na kinaltas mo has to be remitted to the BIR within 10 days. Ang form na ginagamit natin dito, 1600 VT. Kung VAT ang registration. Okay? Sir, paano pag non-VAT? Eh, 600 PT. Ganyan kasimple. Okay? Withholding was made or in case of quarter, not later than the last day following the month of the close of the quarter. So parang ito, withholding talaga. Withholding eh, magkakaltas nga, withhold eh. So parehas actually ng deadline ito sa withholding, 1601 EQ, 1601 FQ. 'Di ba? Ang remittance niyan 10th day every month. Pero pag quarter, yung last day ng the following month following the close of the taxable quarter. So same ang deadline sa mga withholding. Okay, ngayon, tignan natin 'to. Since VAT ang pinag-uusapan natin, yun ang focus natin. Pero babalikan natin yung ating income tax din. Okay, anong meron sa income tax? Tinuro na natin sa ito. Look at the registration of the seller. Government tayo dito ha, government tayo. So kapag tayo ay bumili, government money payment, bumili tayo, purchase tayo, halimbawa ng 1 million. Kung tayo ay bumili ng 1 million, bago tayo magbayad, magkakaltas tayo ng 5%. Creditable VAT. So, yung 50,000, creditable VAT. Creditable VAT tayo. Creditable VAT 5%. Magkakaltas tayo ng 50,000. Kung VAT ang registration niya. Kung VAT ang registration ng seller, kaltas tayo 5% creditable. Bukod dyan, magkakaltas tayo ng 1% kung goods ang binili, 2% kung service ang binili, 5 or 10% kung professional consultancy yung pagbabayaran natin. Okay, itong mga 1, 2, or 5 or 10% is expanded withholding tax. Ito ay tax credit naman, tax credit sa income tax. Ito, tax credit sa VAT. Ito, tax credit sa income tax. Yung EWT, sana naaalala mo pa. Ganyan ang ginagawa natin sa gobyerno. Bukod sa business tax na kaltas, meron ding kaltas, expanded withholding tax. Ito, tax credit sa income tax ni seller. Ito, tax credit sa kanyang VAT payment. Sir, paano pag non-VAT yung seller? Ay, huwag kang magkakaltas ng 5% na VAT. Bakit? Na creditable VAT. Bakit? Hindi siya VAT registered eh. Eh ano siya sir? Non-VAT. Kapag sinabing non-VAT, percentage tax yan. So 3% ang ikakaltas natin plus 1% or 2% or 5% depende doon sa binibili kung ano man yan. Okay? Eh, sir, ano yung treatment nito? Eh di, tax credit yan sa percentage tax. Ito naman, tax credit yan sa income tax, same no kanina. Now, ano ang important notes that we need to remember? Kakasabi pa lang natin paulit-ulit, yung 5% na kinaltas natin, tax credit yan ni VAT registered doon sa kanyang VAT. Yung kung non-VAT naman siya, yung 3%, tax credit niya yan doon sa kanyang percentage tax. Bukod sa business tax, kailangan magkaltas ng EWT, expanded withholding tax. 1% or 2% or 5 or 10 kung sakasakaling professional consultancy fee yan. Okay? Yung mga kinaltas natin ng EWT, tax credit yan sa income tax ni seller. Dati, final VAT ang kinakaltas natin. Pero ang corny, yung kinakaltas na 5%, final VAT yan. Kaso, bakit natin siya tatawaging final VAT kung tax credit naman siya? O di ngayon, nagkaroon ng shift from final VAT, naging creditable VAT na siya. Kailan nagsimula? January 1, 2021. Actually, ilan nyo tinanong na to sa board exam. Kailan naging creditable ang final VAT? Kailan naging applicable ang creditable VAT? So, January 1, 2021 tayo. Okay? Now, let's go to the illustration. Again, we are doing this for you to be able to have an idea. Okay, paano ba nangyayari to? So, VAT on government money payments. So, ang perspective natin dito, seller, kapag government money payments. Okay? Pero, we will give you the perspective of both para at least if you are the seller, you would know what to do. And perspective of the buyer, if you are the government, para just in case you will be employed in the government, you know what to do. Okay, so tignan natin ang kwento. Si ABC Corp nagbenta ng goods sa Municipality of Macapabebe, Pampanga, no? Ng 1 million. ABC Corp purchased the goods from XYZ Corp at a cost of 500,000. So meron siyang costs, meron siyang selling price, 1 million. Doon sa cost niya, purchases niya, bumili siya, nagbayad siya ng input tax 50,000. Sir, bakit 50, 'di ba? 12% 'yan. Pwede kasi yung cost niya, binili niya sa mga VAT registered at saka sa mga non-VAT registered. Ito yung mga subject sa percentage tax. So ang actual input niya na binayaran basta 50,000. Do not argue with facts. Okay? Now, put the following. On the part of the seller, magkano daw yung output tax kaya? On the part of the seller, magkano yung babayarang VAT? So, ang ginagawa natin dito, output tax less input tax lang yan. Ganyan lang kasimple yan. Okay? On the part of the government, magkano yung ikakaltas? Titignan mo yung registration. Kung VAT 5%, kung non-VAT 3%. Bukod dyan, expanded withholding tax pa. Magkano yung cash na ibabayad natin sa seller kung tayo yung gobyerno? Okay, then let's look at the transaction. On the part of the seller muna tayo. So assumption, ikaw dapat ang ABC Corp. Nagbenta ka sa akin, ako yung gobyerno. Magkano yung output tax mo? Kung ang selling price mo, 1 million, yun ang gross sales mo. Gross sales mo to. I-multiply mo lang 12%, boom! Yan na kaagad ang output tax. Tinatanong tayo magkano yung VAT payable. Yung VAT payable, less input lang yan eh. Binigay na ng problem yung actual input tax. O, di ngayon, VAT payable, 70,000. Yan na ba yung babayaran? Hindi pa. Bakit? Tatandaan mo, ang gobyerno, bago siya magbayad ng 1 million, magkakaltas siya ng 5%. So, sa 1 million na yan, ang 5% niyan, 50,000. Yung kinaltas ng gobyerno, tax credit natin bilang seller. So, ang babayaran lang natin is 20,000 pesos. Easy. Okay? Now, on the part of the buyer naman, magkano yung ikakaltas? At magkano yung babayaran? Di ngayon, kung siningil tayo ng 1 million ni seller, kasi nagbenta siya ng 1 million eh, sisingilin tayo, babayaran ba natin yan? Hindi. Bakit? Okay? Si seller, nung nagbenta siya, ito muna. Nung nagbenta si seller, tandaan mo, nung nagbenta si seller, ito yan. Ang total na isisigil niya sa iyo, yung gross sales at saka yung 12% VAT. Bakit siya magdadagdag ng 12% VAT? Kasi the seller is the person statutorily liable to pay the VAT. Ayaw niya magbayad ng VAT. Kaya sinip niya yung burden ng pagbabayad ng VAT sa buyer. Which is the government. Sa gobyerno yan. Ano ngayon kung gobyerno yan? Basta ikaw ang seller, ang person statutorily liable to pay the VAT. Tinuro na natin sa iyan. So, kapag hindi mo sinift yan, ikaw magbabayad. So, i-shift mo. So, ngayon, ang total na sinisingil sa atin ng seller, gobyerno na tayo ngayon, ha? And the assumption is VAT exclusive. Sorry, hindi ko nabanggit. On the part of the government, bumili tayo ng 1 million, pinatungan pa tayo ng 12% ni seller kasi nga, ayaw niyang siya yung magbayad ng VAT eh. Sabi niya, tayo daw. O di ngayon, ang total na isisingil niya sa atin, 1,120,000. So ngayon, babayaran ba natin ng buo yan? Hindi, magkakaltas tayo. Magkano yung kakaltas natin? Since VAT ang registration, that is the presumption in case of VAT ang pinag-uusapan. So 1 million times 5%, kaltas natin yung 50,000. Ano pa? Expanded withholding tax. Since ang binenta ay goods, 1%, magkakaltas tayo. 1 million times 1%, 10,000. Ang total ni kakaltas, cash to be paid, babayaran natin 1,060,000. Okay? So parang ganun yan. Another alternative computation kasi hindi natin alam ang perspective ng examiner. Ito kasi VAT exclusive. Pero ang talagang nangyayari sa tunay na buhay, VAT inclusive. Anong ibig sabihin? Kapag ang gobyerno ay bibili, halimbawa sabi niya, oy, magpapabid ako, bibili ako ng goods, 1 million ang budget natin. Sasabihin niya, 1 million ang budget namin. Ikaw na bidder, i-consider mo na yung VAT sa loob, kasama siya. Kasi hindi na magbabayad ng sobra sa 1 million ang gobyerno. Ganyan yan. Kaya mas tama ito. Sir, ba't mo pa hiniwalay? Kasi nga hindi natin alam ang perspective ng examiner. Okay? Kung government, alam niya yung government transaction. Kapag bumili, sabi ni gobyerno, 1 million, bibili kami ng goods. Ikaw na seller, 1 million lang budget nila. So, i-factor mo yung tax dyan. Okay? So, anong presumption natin? Ikaw na seller ngayon. Ang tanong kasi on the part of the seller, output VAT and the VAT payable. Aba, magkano yung output tax? Aba, on the part of the seller, sale to government 1 million. Yan ang budget nila. Okay? Yung output tax nito, ibig sabihin, of the 1 million, kasama na yung tax na babayaran ng gobyerno dyan. Kaya, i-divide mo 1.12. Ito yung tinatawag nating output tax. 1.12 times 0.12. Yan na kaagad yung output tax natin. Okay? Kumbaga, VAT inclusive na to. Pinactor na yan kasi sabi ng gobyerno, basta 1 million budget namin. So ngayon, ikaw, VAT inclusive yan. Tapos tinatanong tayo, so check ka na sa number 1, magkano yung output tax, magkano yung VAT payable. Eh di, bawas mo lang yung input. Sir, saan galing yan? Ayun nga, actual input nga eh. So, yun ang VAT payable. Yan ang may babayaran? Hindi. Kasi ang gobyerno, bago magbayad, magkakaltas ng 5% based on gross. Magkano ba yung gross mo? Okay? So, yung gross natin, 1 million divided by 1.12. Ito yung gross natin. Magkakaltas ng 5% si gobyerno, which is our tax credit. So, ibawas natin yan sa 57,000. So, ang VAT payable natin, 12,500. Okay? So, ganyan lang kasimple yan. On the part of the government, magkano yung ikakaltas at magkano yung cash na babayaran? Very simple. Nung nagbenta si private seller, maniningil siya ng 1 million. Oy, upon delivery, magbayad ka na, dineliver ko na yan eh. Ito yung 1 million na pinangako mo na nanalo ako sa bidding. Ganon. Babayaran ba natin ang buo yan? Hindi. Magkakaltas tayo. Magkano kakaltas? 5% kung batang registration yan. So, ito yung gross amount natin. Out of the 1 million, divided by 1.12 yan. So, ito yung gross. Parehas nung kanina. Ayun o. Sana, ayun. 892. Tinanggal natin yung VAT. So, ngayon, ito yung kinaltas. Kakaltas natin, 44,000 na magiging tax credit naman ng seller. Magiging tax credit niya yan. So, kakaltas natin. Okay, tapos, since goods ang kinaltas, ang binili natin, magkakaltas tayo ng 1%. So, total 8,900. Sir, saan yan galing? Dito sa gross amount din. So, ngayon, ang total na babayaran na lang natin, 946,428. Ang gagawin natin, kung tayo yung gobyerno, bibigyan natin ng Form 2307, si taxpayer, si seller. Yung 5% creditable to sa VAT. Okay, yung 1% creditable yan sa income tax. Nakalagay yan dun sa Form 2317. Ito yung nasa taas, upper, makikita mo to, upper, ito yung nasa lower naman. Okay? So that is sale to government. So which means if you are the seller at ang gobyerno ang bumili, magbabat ka. Dahil kung hindi, ikaw magbabayad niyan. Now, another example of a vatable transactions would be payments to non-residents. Ibig sabihin, nagbayad ka. So, ibig sabihin, buyer ka dito. Di ba napakasimple? Kaya nga tinawag na payment to non-residents because you are the buyer of services and you are paying somebody. Who is that somebody? Hindi siya taga dito. Kaya ang tawag dyan, payment to non-residents. So, kung tayo ay nasa Pilipinas, if this is the Philippines, basta Philippines yan, andito tayo. Okay? Andiyan ka, Philippines ka. Binayaran mo yung nasa ibang bansa. Doon na lang sa bansa ng kapatid ko. Nagbayad tayo dito, taga dito yung nag-render ng service, non-resident yan. Ngayon, ito ba ay subject sa 12% VAT? Yes. Pero hindi ito sale ha. Again, this is a purchase. But this is subject to 12% VAT. Okay, so ngayon, ikwento natin ang dapat nating ikwento for you to be able to have an idea on how does it work. Okay, dito sa drawing natin. Taga Pilipinas ba yung seller ng service? Hindi. Paano magbabayad ng VAT yan? Kaya nga ikaw na buyer dito, magkakaltas ka nung VAT doon sa sale of goods ni seller. Ayun, kaya nga tignan mo, withholding of 12% VAT shall be made with respect to the following payments to non-residents. Ibig sabihin, we are the buyer here and we are paying the non-resident for their services. Saan galing ang service? Lease or use of property, properties or property rights owned by non-residents. Pag sinabing property rights, ito yung intangibles. Okay? O ngayon, naalala mo yung example natin doon sa ah, ah, definition ng goods or properties. Ang example natin, halimbawa Nike. Okay, basta Nike yan, meron siyang logo. Si ABC Corp gustong gamitin yung logo. So ito non-resident foreign corp yan ha. So tapos tayo domestic corporation tayo. Ngayon, nagbayad tayo halimbawa ng 10 million kay Nike. Si Nike binigyan tayo ng right to use the asset. So yung payment natin na to kay Nike who is a non-resident, okay, proper use of property rights yan. Ito ay dadagdagan ng 12% ni non-resident foreign corp. So, ikaw naman na domestic corp, yung dinagdag na 12% ni NRFC, ikaltas mo bago mo siya bayaran. Yan yun. Another example, NRFC. Ito yung German company na kinukwento ko sa inyo, German corporation. Tapos dito, ABC Corp. So, domestic entity yan. Si German company ang nagmamay-ari ng pinakamalaking boring machine sa buong mundo. Yun ang naguhukay. Okay, ng mga bundok. So, kailangan ni ABC Corp who is a contractor to basically use that boring machine para makapaghukay. Nagbayad ngayon si ABC Corp, halimbawa 10 million. Bago magbayad, si ABC Corp, si German company, sasabihin niya, oy, ABC Corp, kung rerentahan mo to, 10 million plus VAT yan, kung sakasakali. So, si ABC naman, magbabayad ng 10 million. Pero yung VAT na to, i-withhold niya. I-remit niya sa BIR. Mamaya meron tayong specific example. So, ganyan ang kompletong kwento. Withholding of 12% VAT. Bakit mo i-withhold? Kasi nga, wala naman sa Pilipinas to yung 10 million na siningil niya, magdadagdag ng 12%, 1.2 million. Okay, so ang total na isisingil, 11.2 million. Babayaran ba natin ang buo yan? Hindi. Si buyer, ikakaltas yung 12%. I-remit kay BIR to, i-remit kay BIR yan. So, yung babayad doon, yung 10 million lang. Parang ganun ang concept ng withholding. Okay, so yan yung lease at saka use of property rights. Intangible yan. Tapos, services rendered to local insurance companies. Tignan mo ha. Ang nag-render ng service ay non-resident. Ang nagpaupa, non-resident. Ang may-ari ng intangible, non-resident. Dito sa number 2, the one who rendered the services is a non-resident. Kanino nirender ang service niya? Sa isang local domestic entity. So, halimbawa, ito, ABC Corp tayo. ABC Corp tayo. Tayo to. Ito si non-resident foreign corp. Tapos, merong local entity dito. Siya yung local insurance company. Okay? So, ito ay nag-render ng, sorry, ito na pala yung local din. Basta ito na lang. Si non-resident nag-render ng service sa isang local insurance company. So, yung payment ni local doon, meron niyang 12% VAT withholding din. Okay, another example, other services rendered in the Philippines by non-residents. Okay, so ngayon, puntahan natin ito bago tayo mag-proceed sa example nung number 3. VAT on rental, so ibig sabihin lease ito, yung parang sa German company. And or royalties, ibig sabihin intangible personal property yan na pagmamay-ari ng mga non-resident. Okay, the VAT on rental and or royalties payable to NRFCs or owners for the sale of their services and or use of properties in the Philippines shall be based on contract price. So kung magkano yung usapan, halimbawa 10 million ang usapan, for the rental o kaya dun sa right to use the royalty. Magdadagdag ng 12% si seller, si NRFC. Dadagdagan niya ng 12% yan. Okay, so ang total niyan, 1.2 million. So, 11.2 million ang total output tax to. Sir, bakit siya magdadagdag? Eh, seller nga siya eh. Person statutory liable to pay the VAT. Ngayon, yung buyer naman, okay, so based ito sa contract price, yung VAT. Okay, agreed by the licensor kung ito ay license or royalty and the licensee. The licensee or the buyer of service, lessee, kung lessee yan, no, shall be responsible for the payment of the VAT on such rentals on behalf of the NRFC. Ito ay ikakaltas, withhold niya, tapos i-remit niya yan sa BIR. So technically, 10 million ang ibabayad. Kasi nga kinaltas. So, ito yung purchase niya. Ito yung purchase niya. Yan ang purchase niya ni buyer. Okay. Ito, yung 12% na dinagdag ni seller sa kanya, input tax niya yon. Pero yung input tax na yon, na kinaltas niya, i-remit niya sa BIR, input tax niya yon. Okay? So the payer, magkakaltas ng 12% VAT, i-remit sa gobyerno. Sir, bakit siya yung magkakaltas? Eh, kasi nga siya yung nasa Pilipinas, eh, withholding agent siya eh. The payer, withholding agent, can claim the input tax. Kasi sinip yung 12% na to sa kanya eh, kay buyer eh. Nga, kung VAT registered si buyer, natural input tax na yon. If non-VAT siya, cost or expense yun. Number 3, the VAT withholding is remitted within 10 days. Sabi na natin yan kanina, no? Katulad yan ng period ng withholding. Now, let's go to the illustration. Eto, live case ito ha. Ganito talaga yung nangyayari sa tunay na buhay. And you are already familiar with this case. Kasi ito yung example natin dun sa definition ng in the course of trade or business. ABC Corp is engaged in software development. So domestic corp yan. To gain an advantage in terms of technological know-how, the company engaged the services of XYZ Technologies based in Canada. So therefore, non-resident foreign corp yan. To train employees who are professional software developers. Whether or not NRFC went to the Philippines and trained the employees of ABC Corp is not really a matter. Basta nag-render ng service ang non-resident, subject yan sa 12% VAT. Okay? Now, the contract price agreed by the ABC and XYZ is 10 million. O, ngayon, compute the following. Magkano daw yung output tax? Aba, edi kung output tax ang pinag-uusapan, seller tayo. We are the seller. Okay? Output tax pinag-uusapan. Tayo ito, XYZ Technologies. Ito yung NRFC na seller. Magkano daw yung output tax? Magkano daw yung VAT payable? Magkano yung i-remit ni XYZ? Simple lang. I-remit kay XYZ. Simple lang. Kung ikaw si NRFC, 10 million ang usapan, dagdagan mo ng 12%. Sir, bakit? Kasi nga, the transaction is subject to 12% VAT. Sir, bakit? Seller is the person statutory liable to pay the VAT. So, ngayon, yung 12% passed on VAT. So, ang total amount billable natin, 11.2. Anong tawag nga rito? Invoice amount. Basta kasama ang VAT, invoice amount ang tawag. So, ngayon, 11.2 million. Yan ang ibibill ni XYZ. Oy, bayaran mo to. Kasabihin ni XYZ. Billing invoice. Ngayon, si ABC naman, anong gagawin? Buyer of service. Aba, bilil siya ng 11 million. 200,000. Value of services purchased, inclusive of VAT, 11.2. Babayaran ba natin ng buo yan? Hindi. Magkakaltas tayo ng 12% VAT. Final VAT yan. Kaya nga final VAT yan kasi non-resident foreign corp to eh. So magkakaltas tayo, withhold. Kaya nga less yan. Magwi-withhold tayo ng 1.2 million. Hindi natin ibibigay ng buo yan. Ito, i-remit natin to sa BIR, yung 1.2 million. So, 10 million lang technically yung ibabayad natin. Yun. Okay? Ngayon, bukod sa, tatandaan mo, ba't ang pinag-uusapan natin dito? Business tax. Sa income tax, subject yan sa 12 to 25%. Okay? Kasi kung merong cross-border service dito, even if the services are rendered outside under the cross-border transactions, in the case of Supreme Court case of ano man 'to? ACES Philippines. Magkakaltas tayo ng 25% final tax. So, ang ililimit natin kay non-resident foreign corp is 7.5 million. So, kumbaga, income tax to. Income tax. Tapos, ito, business tax naman. O, nirelate na natin yung dalawa na yun, ha? Para hindi ka malilito. So, is the XYZ Technologies and RFC required to report the income? No, because the income has been subjected to final tax, and the final tax is constituted as full and final settlement of tax liability. Okay, just to summarize, no? Kaya ang buyer ang pinagkakaltas kasi nasa ibang bansa ito, hindi niya maririmit yung 12% VAT. Okay? Si buyer naman, since pinast on sa kanya yung 1.2 million tax credit niya yan. Sir, ano po yung proof ng credit niya? Yung 1,600 VT, yung proof of remittance. Yan ang proof niya. Okay? Actual practice yan. Now, let's go to another example, no, of a transaction subject to 12% VAT. Aba, yung mga digital services. Ano ba yung mga ito? Okay, let's go to the definition of terms first, no? May tinatawag na digital service providers. Itong digital service provider can be a resident or a non-resident. Okay, what do? They supply digital services to a buyer who uses the digital service subject to VAT in the Philippines. Okay? There are two types of digital service provider. Isang resident at isang non-resident. Ang mga resident, domestic corporations yan or resident foreign corporations yan. Itong dalawa na to, subject na talaga yan sa VAT. Bakit? Domestic service kasi to. Sale of service siya. Domestic, regular. Kaya ito, 12% na kagad yan talaga. Ito, hindi. Kaya nga nilagay sa batas na ang mga non-resident digital service provider are now subject to 12% VAT. Bakit? Kasi unfair. Pag DC at saka RFC, na nagsusupply ng digital service, may VAT. Tapos pag non-resident, kung sino pa yung hindi taga dito, sila pa yung libre. Di ba? Parang ganon. Kaya winat na ulit na ngayon yan. Okay, ngayon. The gross sales of non-resident digital service provider, ito yung gross sales nila. Ibig sabihin, yung value of the amount of the service they provided. Ito yung total sales nila sa mga B2B transaction at saka B2C transaction. Okay? Mamaya explain natin sa itong dalawa na to. Kasi dalawang pwede maging customers niya. Now, there is a term called reverse charge mechanism. Tingnan mo to. Refers to a mechanism where persons engage in business. Sila yung B2B, business to business, including the government of the Philippines. So, ibig sabihin kung ang gobyerno nagsasubscribe sa mga to, or any of its political subdivisions, mentalities, or agencies, including UCC, as buyer of digital services, are liable to withhold VAT under these regulations and remit the same to the BIR. Tinawag itong reverse charge mechanism. Ano ba tong ibig sabihin ng reverse charge mechanism? De concept ng final VAT yan, parehas nito. Tinawag lang siyang reverse charge mechanism, pero final VAT ang concept niyan. Na kung saan ang buyer magwi-withhold at i-remit ang VAT sa gobyerno, parehas nito. Hindi ako galit ha. Inaano ko lang kasi nalilito. Parang alam niyo yung mga rules natin, dapat tinawag na lang siyang final VAT. Ba't kailangan pang tawaging reverse charge mechanism? Kaya reverse charge mechanism kasi it's the buyer who is the one liable to remit, to withhold and remit the VAT to the government. Kaya nga siya tinawag na reverse charge mechanism. Pero final VAT ang concept na yan. Ngayon, ano muna yung mga object of sale? So, kinalala na natin ha, mga resident, digital service provider, at saka non-resident, digital service provider. So, kilala na natin itong mga to. Yung resident, taga dito, non-resident, hindi taga dito. Pero they are a supplier of digital service. Ngayon, ano naman yung sinusupply nila? Ano ba yung mga yan? Ito yung service that is supplied over the internet or electronic network. Okay, with the use of information technology and where the supply of service is essentially automated. So, ayan lagyan natin ng pangalan. Okay, online search engine daw. Eh, di example niyan Google, oh, 'di ba? Ano si Google? Non-resident digital service provider. Online marketplace, aba, ah, ah, ano nga 'to, Shopee, Temu, Lazada, oh, 'di ba? Oh, ngayon, domestic 'yon. Eh, Alibaba, oh, di ano 'yun, non-resident, oh, 'di ba? So, covered sila. Bakit? Eh, digital service provider 'yan, eh. Ang mga cloud service, online media and advertising. Oh, meron ba tayong ano, yung CNN, yung BBC? Okay, meron ba silang online media? Yes. So kung may subscription 'yon, provider sila ng digital service. ABS-CBN tsaka GMA7, meron silang online? Yes. O di online media rin sila. So merong resident at tsaka non-resident. Online platform, Facebook. Oh, ano 'yan? Eh di non-resident. Oh, 'di ba? Kinikilala lang natin 'tong mga 'to. Tapos digital goods. 'Yan ang mga digital service saka nakakita 'no, ang digital goods isa siyang digital service. Dito lang. Anyway, ano pa? Ano yung mga digital goods naman? Okay, refers to intangible goods that are delivered, transferred in digital form. So yung mga sounds, like songs, images, pictures, data, facts, combinations thereof. So ito ano yung mga yan? Digital content purchases, download of ebooks, music, videos. Eh di example yan, Spotify. O, di ba? E-games, Counter-Strike, Mobile Legends, subscription-based supplies of content, news, music, Spotify, media, online gambling, online courses. Okay, digital art, supply services, mga antivirus o licensing content such as publication in journals, tapos telecommunications and broadcasting, virtual assets. Yan ang mga digital goods. Digital services also include cloud and IT infrastructure, mga data storage. 'Di ba yung Google, merong Google Storage? Kung ano ka na, kung mag-e-exit na yung storage mo, 'di ba mag-aano sila, mag-o-offer sila. 'Pag nagbayad ka do'n, non-resident digital service provider 'yan. O e-commerce platform and payment processing, GCash, okay, PayMaya. Targeted digital marketing and analytics, yung sa algorithm sa Facebook. Communication tools and collaborative software. Kasama dito yung mga Microsoft, yung Adobe, yung mga live nila. E-learning platforms and professional networking, LinkedIn. Kapag ikaw ay premium subscriber doon. Data analytics and AI for business insights, mga algorithm yan, mga study, cybersecurity, mask encryption services, VPN, system maintenance and optimization for digital service, online consultations. So halimbawa ako, I'm a professional, I'm providing service to a client, ginamit ko Zoom, digital service din yan. Interactive media, like online gaming, AR, VR experiences, yung sinusuot siyang ganyan. Yan ang mga digital service. So which means, if some or all of these are being provided by a resident or non-resident provider, covered na sila ng 12% VAT. So which means if you are a seller, you're supposed to add 12% VAT on the sale. Okay? O e-marketplace, binanggit na natin sa iyo. Online media and advertising, binanggit na rin natin sa iyo, 'di ba? Banner ads, sidebar, 'di ba? When you look at the news sa Facebook mo, meron sa baba sa ng mga pop-up o kaya sidebar nasa gilid sa baba ito ng mga advertisement, yan 'yon. Okay? Now, anong meron dito? Yung mga digital service provider na yan, whether residents or non-resident, subject sa 12% VAT based on their gross sales. Sabi ko sa iyo, ang resident, dati pang may 12% VAT na yan. So ito ngayon, ang dinadagdag natin, yung mga non-resident. General rule, VAT shall be levied, assessed, and collected equivalent to 12% of the gross sales derived from by a digital service provider, meaning resident or non-resident, from its sale or exchange of services in the Philippines. Now, ang sale or exchange of services includes the supply and delivery of digital services by the provider, meaning resident or non-resident in the Philippines. Okay. Now, look at this exception now. Digital services provided by a non-resident digital service provider shall be considered performed, rendered, supplied, or delivered in the Philippines in the course of trade or business if such digital services are consumed in the Philippines. Okay, balikan natin ang definition ng sale of service. Ano sabi natin? Sa definition ng sale of service, the service has to be performed or rendered within the Philippines. Di ba? Yan ang sabi natin. Para maging object of sale siya rito. Ngayon, papaano yung mga digital service provided by the non-resident? Ang service ni-render outside yan. So ngayon, nilagay sa batas. Kapag ang provider ng digital service ay non-resident, kapag ang kanilang service ay kinonsume sa Pilipinas, ibig sabihin, ito ay dineliver sa Pilipinas, therefore, dito ang service. Parang ganun siya. So therefore, covered na siya ng 12% VAT. Ganyan ang ginawa. Kahit ang service is specifically performed outside but consumed within ang digital service, it's as if rendered within yan. So ang source is within. Hence, yung gross sales ng non-resident digital service provider shall now be subject to 12% VAT. Okay? So, for this purpose, digital services are considered consumed or used in the Philippines basta ang buyer is located in the Philippines. Okay? So, ito yung pwedeng maging transactions ng digital service provider. Tandaan mo ha, ang digital service provider merong resident at saka non-resident. Ang resident, walang problema. 12% na yan. Isipin mo, seller of service lang yan. Pero kapag non-resident, ang digital service provider, ang treatment ng VAT would depend on who is the customer. Okay, kapag B2B ang transaction, ibig sabihin, ang customer dito engage in trader business din. So it can also be the government or any of its instrumentalities or subdivisions. Kapag naman B2C, ang customer dito ay hindi engaged, consumer lang siya. Okay, so titingnan natin kung sino ang customer. Okay? Now, tignan natin 'to. Resident, registered 'yan under the rules on registration, pwedeng VAT or non-VAT. Paglampas ng 3 million, mandatory VAT. Parang ganun siya. Ang non-resident digital service provider required na rin mag-register dito sa Pilipinas. But they don't need to go here. They can just go to the BIR VDS portal, no? Digital Service Portal. Doon sila magre-register. Pag hindi sila nag-register, pwedeng i-suspend ang kanilang operations. Puputulin ang kanilang connection. Hindi naman nila kailangan magkaroon ng local representative dito. They can still operate as is. Okay, but they can appoint a resident third-party service provider. So, kung pwede sila magkaroon ng mga accounting, they can engage the services of an accounting firm or law firm here for purposes of receiving notice, etc. Okay? Tapos, for VAT purposes, yung kanilang service provider na third-party will not classify them as doing business here. Kaya ayaw mag-register dito or mag-engage ng firm baka sabihin permanent establishment daw. Kaya clarify dito, hindi sila permanent establishment kung ikaw ay mayroong third party service provider. Okay, ngayon. Ano pa yung mga dapat natin malaman? No? Filing of tax returns, payment or remittance of VAT. Lahat na babayaran at i-remit na VAT, including other taxes as may be imposed or collected, kailangan Philippine peso. Ayaw ni BIR ng dollars. Okay, for this purpose, VAT shall be calculated multiplying the value of the services in Philippine peso by the 12% VAT. Yan lang simple. Magkano yung rate. Okay. So, in preparation for each of the DSP, no, and buyers may rely on the documents or information provided example, TIN submitted by its contracting parties. More on compliance lang to. Okay? Mga kapatid, papaano natin malalaman kung ang isang buyer ay B2B or B2C? Okay? Papaano natin malalaman kung ang consumer ay engaged or not engaged? Siyempre, sasabihin niya kung engaged siya. Kapag hindi maliwanag, it shall be presumed that the buyer is not engaged. Okay? So, ang presumption, if the customer is not clear whether it's engaged, not engaged siya. Okay? Anong meron sa resident digital service provider? Paulit-ulit ako kanina pala, no? Kanina pa, no? Vatable na to, dati pa na 12%. Nag-i-issue ang mga yan ng invoices on every sale. Okay? Nagpa-file din sila ng quarterly VAT. Yan ang obligasyon ng mga resident digital service provider. Ang resident na yan, pwedeng domestic corp or resident foreign corp. Basta they are doing business here. Ang non-resident naman, hindi taga dito. Okay? For non-resident but registered digital service provider, magre-register sila sa VDS, supplying or delivering digital services that are consumed or used in the Philippines. The following shall be indicated in the invoice. Okay? Kahit hindi valid ang invoice nila, ibig sabihin valid lang yung invoice nila sa country nila. Hindi yan compliant with our invoicing requirement here. Okay lang daw yan, sabi ng BIR. Basta nakalagay ang date of transaction, reference number, TIN if any, description of the transaction, example subscription, and the total amount with the indication that such amount includes the VAT. Sa ibang bansa kasi, kung hindi na separate indicated, okay lang, inclusive of VAT yan. Pero pinakamaganda, separate indicated yan. Okay. Now, anong meron dito sa non-resident digital service provider na to? Sales or commercial invoices may be electronic. Hindi naman kailangan registered with the BIR kasi nasa ibang bansa sila eh. Meaning they don't need to secure authority to print invoices from the BIR. Okay? Kaso, yung kanilang invoice, importante, English language or at least merong translation. Okay? If sale of digital services includes some services which are VAT, merong zero rated or exempt, i-classify properly kung ano yung transaction. Okay? Kung yan ay online marketplace, like Shopee, issue the relevant sale or commercial invoice following the rules prescribed above. Okay? Pero kung halimbawa, eBay to, eBay or Alibaba, di naman kailangan kung non-resident. Ito yung mga i-comply ng mga non-resident digital service provider. Pero kung domestic yan, dito nag-ooperate yan o resident foreign corp, kailangan meron silang mga regular invoices. Okay? O ngayon, pag-usapan muna natin ang resident digital service provider. Again, pwedeng domestic corp yan, pwedeng resident foreign corp to. Okay, tingnan natin ang kanyang customer. B2B, ibig sabihin yung customer engaged. B2C, ibig sabihin consumer or customer is not engaged. Okay? Lagyan natin ang pangalan. Digital service provider, example nito Globe, Smart, PLDT, okay? Yung mga nagpo-provide na tawag nito provider ng internet, provider ng cable TV, yan ang mga yan sa probinsya, CATV ang tawag, na nagulat ako doon. So anyway, mga domestic to. So let's look at illustration. Resident ito ha. A taxpayer availed the services of a resident digital service provider amounting to 1,000 per month. Yan ang subscription. The resident digital service provider, resident yan, imposed a 12% VAT on the digital service. Okay, so si seller, nagbenta, meron siyang gross sales, magdadagdag ng 12% VAT kasi siniship ang burden sa buyer. So on total amount billable is 1,120,000. Si buyer, ang gagawin, okay, bumili ng 1,000,000, 1,000, again, engaged to ha. Siyempre, meron siyang input tax kasi na-shift ang burden sa kanya ng VAT. ang total amount na babayaran, 1,120. Ito ang total na babayaran niya kay seller. Parang regular transaction. Sino magre-remit ng VAT? Si seller. Kailan? Ayan, quarterly. How? By filing quarterly VAT return. Basta si buyer, magbabayad lang siya ng buo kasi siningil siya ni domestic. Bayaran mo to, oy, parang ganun. Paano naman kung ang consumers not engaged? Same. Nagbenta ng digital service, nagdagdag ng 12% VAT, maniningil lang buo. Si buyer, bayaran niya ng buo yan, 1,120,000. Okay, si seller magre-remit niyan same within 25 days through the filing quarterly VAT return. Itong input tax ni Engage, pambawas niya to sa output tax niya. Engage siya eh. Itong input tax, wala. Nga. Kaya nga consumer, kawawa na naman dito. Sila yung meron na namang ultimate burden to pay. No? So anyway, yan ang domestic. Parang regular sale lang to. Okay, nagbenta siya, si seller, magdagdag ng 12% VAT. Singilin, si buyer naman magbabayad. Whether engaged or not engaged, bayaran ng buo. Okay? Papaano naman kung non-resident ang provider? A taxpayer availed the services of a non-resident digital service provider amounting to 1,000 per month. Okay? Si non-resident digital service provider, being seller, nagdagdag ng 12% VAT. Required siya idagdagan 12% VAT. Bakit? Dahil kung hindi, puputulin ang kanyang linya. Hindi siya makakapagpalabas dito. Example, Netflix. Okay? Ngayon, hotel ito o restaurant to, na, o kaya o kung sino man siya, basta engage in trade or business to, yung buyer or gobyerno, nag-subscribe sila dito sa Google, nag-subscribe sila sa Facebook, sa LinkedIn, ito, engage itong mga tao na to. Anong gagawin ni seller? So yung gross sales niya 1,000, magdadagdag siya ng 12% VAT. Sir, bakit? Kasi nga ang digital service provider ngayon ay subject na sa 12% VAT. Si seller, non-resident, kailangan niya magdagdag because he's the seller. So ngayon, ang total na ibibil, 1,120,000. Kapag engage in trade or business, ganito yung gagawin. Ang total billing, 1,120. Ang gagawin ni buyer, magkakaltas siya nito. Ikakaltas niya yan. I-remit niya sa BIR. The buyer will remit the the VAT, the 120 through final VAT withholding. 1,600 VT ang form, parang yung kanina. Kailan i-remit? Tuwing ikasampu ng buwan. Ito yung tinatawag na reverse charge mechanism. Since ito, ang buyer, ay nasa Pilipinas siya. Ito, nasa abroad yan, non-resident yan eh. Magkakaltas ng 12% VAT at i-remit sa gobyerno, 1,600 VT. Yan ang tinatawag na reverse charge mechanism. Ang consumer shall be liable to withhold and remit the VAT to the BIR, withholding system. Ngayon, papaano naman kung tayo nag-subscribe tayo ng Netflix, ng Google, ng Facebook? Okay, sila, non-resident ang mga to, magdadagdag ng 12% VAT. Sisingilin tayo ng 1,120. Okay, ngayon, kung tayo ay not engaged, babayaran natin ng buo si Netflix, si Google. Walang kaltas-kaltas. Bakit? Alangan naman tayo mag-remit niyan. Hindi na lang ako magsasubscribe kung ako magre-remit niyan. Parang ganon. Ito naman kasing isa, may negosyo kasi. So, kapag tayo ay B2C, that the consumer or the customer is not engaged, walang kaltas-kaltas, bayaran ng buo. Bakit? Si seller ang magre-remit ng VAT na to sa gobyerno using the VDS portal. Kailan? Quarterly, within 25th day following the close of each quarter. Di ba? Kaya ganyan lang, ipipicture lang natin talaga yung transaction. Kung Netflix, customer tayo, engage tayo, magkakaltas tayo, remit natin sa gobyerno, final withholding, parang gano'n. Pero kung di tayo engage, bayaran natin ng buo. Okay? Kasi ayaw na natin mag-remit. Kaya ganyan ang ginawa ng gobyerno. Okay? Now, this is another example of local sales of goods. Ang transaction subject sa 12% VAT, local sale of goods and services by RBEs. Okay? Local sales of goods and services by an RBE shall be subject to 12% VAT unless zero rate or exempt. Okay? Shall include sales of goods and services to services to domestic market enterprise and non-RBEs regardless of location. Pag sinabing regardless of location, whether or not inside the ecozone, okay lang. So, again, ang RBE, tatlo. Isang registered export enterprise, isang domestic market enterprise, isang high-value domestic market enterprise. Itong dalawa na to, nagpo-produce, nagma-manufacture, binebenta sa domestic market sa Pilipinas. Ibig sabihin, subject na talaga yan sa 12% VAT. Ang registered export enterprise, nag-export ito. Kaya nga registered export Anong ginagawa nito? Manufacturing or assembly, BPO, o kaya IT. Pinoprovide ng service nila sa mga non-resident. Ang manufacturing, yung pinroduce niya, ine-export niya. Kaya sila registered export enterprise. Ngayon, supposedly, export lang sila. Pero, papaano kung merong bumili ng service nila or goods local? Etong export sales, zero rate yan kasi export yan So ngayon, ang tanong, papaano kung yan ay local sale? Hindi mo liwanag. Sa Create More, di liwanag. Ang local sale ngayon of goods and services is subject to 12%. Okay? So, nangyayari ito sa mga karaniwan ecozone. Nagmamanufacture sila ng appliances. Binibenta yung appliance. Nagmamanufacture sila ng damit. Binibenta yung mga damit na sira or defective. No? Sa local market. Yan yun, local sales. So ngayon, ano meron? Income tax incentive regime. Lahat ng local sales ng RBE shall be subject to 12% VAT. So ito, yung kanina, ito 12% na yan under Create More. Okay? So regardless of income tax regime, whether this REE is income tax holiday siya, income tax holiday, ITH, or subject na siya sa 5% special corporate income tax, okay, or subject siya enhanced deduction regime. Yan ang binabanggit dito. Kahit ano ka pa, basta local sales yan ng REE, 12% na. Location of sales, kahit sa loob ka pa ng ecozone or nasa labas. Okay, basta ikaw ay registered export enterprise at meron ka local sales, patable yan. Liability to pay and remit the VAT. The liability to pay and remit the VAT to the government rests with the buyer of the services. Ibig sabihin, anong meron dito? Final VAT din ulit tayo. Kapag ang obligasyon ay binigay sa buyer, withholding of VAT ang tawag natin dyan. VAT withholding. VAT withholding. Parang sa non-resident. Parang yung reverse charge mechanism kanina, B2B. Yan yun. Okay? So, anong meron dito? Punta kagad tayo sa illustration. O, tignan mo muna ha. Nagbenta ng goods. Tapos, ang buyer is engaged. ABC Corp. Registered enterprise to. Nagbenta ng 1 million. Exclusive of VAT. Local sales is classified as, the sales is classified as local sales. Both are VAT registered. So, yung goods nila, intended for export yan. Pero, pumili yung domestic company na engage. Okay, so si seller, anong gagawin? Tignan mo, si seller. Ede, yung sales niya, 1 million, magdadagdag ng 12% VAT. Okay, tapos, ibibill buo, 1,120,000. Tandaan mo, ang customer mo, engage. Si buyer, binil siya ng 1,120,000. Ikakaltas niya yung 12%. Parang B2B kanina sa digital service. So, ang babayad lang niya, 1,000. So, si buyer pays 1,000, the buyer withholds 12%, pero ang form na gagamitin, 0605. Ibibigay ang form, proof of payment, sa seller. Bakit? Para mailabas ang goods sa ecozone. Kasi gated community yan Hindi yan mailalabas kung hindi bayad ang VAT. Kasi ang tawag dyan, technical importation. So therefore, the buyer is the one that remits the VAT. B2B, withholding of VAT to. And the period to remit is before release of goods. Hindi yan 10th day. Gusto mo na mailabas ang produktong binili mo, tayo to? Gusto mo malabas ang produkto? Ay, di bayaran mo na kagad yung VAT. Ang proof of payment is payment form 0605. Workaround procedure pa lang to. Kasi bago pa lang. Now, what if the buyer, the object of sale is a service? Parehas lang. Okay, ABC Corp sells service. So parang IT ito, IT or BPO. Okay, nagbenta ng service 1 million. Okay, so seller, gross sales nila, magdadagdag ng 12% kasi seller sila, total amount billed 1,120,000. Si buyer, anong gagawin? Since sila ay B2B, magkakaltas ng 12% VAT. Okay, i-remit ang 12% VAT sa gobyerno pero ang form 1600 BT. Sir, bakit gano'n? Nakakalito. Huwag kang malito. Ang 1600 BT services, parang